Council, I'm going from 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, and then 7.
I got you.
We want to say good evening, everyone, and welcome you to our city council meeting on tonight. Thank you all so much for coming out. Tonight will probably be a little different. I have another engagement, so I'll be stepping away at some time, and Councilman Neal, our Mayor Pro Tem, will be taking over. Let us pray. If there's anybody in the house that doesn't wish to participate in this part of our ceremony, we'll ask that you'll step away at this time now. Most awesome, amazing God, we thank you so much, God, for allowing us to come here tonight to discuss the business, God, of your city. Not only your city, Father God, but to hear from you, God, and make decisions, God, based on your citizens, God, that you've placed us, God, in position to serve. So now, God, we just ask, God, that you will pull back the rooftops of the festival hall and pour us out a blessing, God, that we don't have room enough to receive. Allow your Holy Spirit to lead us and guide us on tonight. In your Son, Jesus' name, we do pray. Amen and thank God.
Amen.
Amen. Let the minutes reflect that all council is present on tonight and city manager. Council, I'll go item number 3, approval of August 1st, 2022 regular session minutes. Give you time to read over those. Once you read over those, ask that you'll raise your right hand signifying that you're ready. I entertain a motion and a second to approve regular session minutes of August 1st, 2022.
Motion?
Second.
It's been seconded. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Unanimous decision. Thank you all so much. Let's skip down to number 13 on the agenda. Proposed amendment to our sign ordinance. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of council, you have in front of you a proposed revision to your sign ordinances. Periodically, the council needs to be reviewing sign ordinances. Trends in First Amendment law and state law interpreting sign ordinances, they happen quite regularly. Your current ordinance is almost 20 years old. We've been looking at it recently, and I found a couple of things that I think you as a council need to address to make sure that your signed ordinance is still in line with both Georgia and federal constitution. The document you have before you is for a first reading. It is pretty close to what you have now, but it establishes a couple of different ways of regulating signs, and it makes sure that you're following what is allowed by law to regulate. Currently, your ordinance, there are a few things, while not necessarily problematic, I do think may create some question as to whether or not they're constitutional or not. So, Mr. Mayor, this is a first reading. I'm offering this document to the council to have time to review. At your next meeting, you can come back and make any proposed changes or comments you want to about it. But in the meanwhile, if you will forward those to me, I can address them or answer any questions you have. So I don't have anything specific besides just this being presented, Mr. Mayor. I don't need a vote or anything on that tonight. But once again, y'all have any questions, y'all feel free to contact me to discuss.
Thank you so much. Council, do you have any questions at this time for the attorney? Councilman Moore?
Nothing.
City Manager?
No, sir.
Councilman Miller?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman Rivers?
No.
Councilman Neal?
No, sir.
All right, thank you so much. We'll move up to number 12 on our agenda. Call Ms. Claire. Ms. Claire, if you give us 12, 11, 10, 9, and 8.
Okay, it'd be my pleasure. All right, number 12, first off, is applicant Rick McAllister on behalf of Town Creek Circle has requested a rezone of parcel ending in 880 as listed here, a lot of numbers. He's requested a rezone from B1, a neighborhood convenience commercial, to RM residential multifamily. On Thursday, August 11th, the Planning Commission met to discuss this request. The property is currently vacant. It is surrounded by other B1 properties, and he intends to build an apartment complex. And if you'll find in your staff report on page, let's see, easy enough to say. You will find a proposed site plan on page 26 of your staff report. And his current proposal is in line with the RM designation for density, setbacks, things of that nature, but not for B1, hence the request. And there is a neighboring property that is also RM. Let's see, the neighboring properties are B1, neighborhood convenience commercial, Greene County A2 agricultural, and RM residential multifamily. So it would not be creating any sort of island of individual zoning. It would meet with the surrounding neighborhood. Believe the proposed development is 120 units of housing. At this time, he does not know if they will be for purchase or for rent. But with this rezone, I believe that they will do more due diligence and more study on their behalf. He's also included in his application an estimate, a letter of estimation of water use from our city engineer. On page 24, you'll find that estimation of use, and his proposed daily flow does not appear to overtax our current system. Yes, sorry. But it appears that the water and sewer letter, his proposal, like as I said, was below, is under the threshold for our current system. So after the Planning Commission heard it on Thursday, they made a recommendation for approval to the City Council for this rezone from B1 to RM.
Council, you've heard the request coming from Mr. Rick McAllister on behalf of Ms. Claire. I entertain a motion and a second at this time.
Motion.
Second.
Motion to approve.
Motion
Motion and second to approve.
second to approve.
All right. It's been second to approve. Any further discussion?
I have one question, Mr. Mayor, to it. What was it was approved, what was the yea and what was the nay?
It was a unanimous recommendation for approval by the Commission.
4-0.
So 4, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
No further discussion. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Unanimous decision. Number 11
Okay.
on the agenda.
Yes, sir. This is a request for annexation and rezone. Property is currently zoned A2 agricultural in Greene County, and the property owner and applicant who is here this evening has requested an annexation into the city and a requested zoning designation of PUD, planned unit development. His proposal is he's proposing to build a single-family and townhome, so mixed residential subdivision along VZ Road and MLK, Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. The parcel is 120 acres, and he estimates approximately 100, and his application said between 140 and 180. And when asked by the Planning Commission in Thursday's meeting, he indicated that there would be 140 single-family homes and approximately 40 townhomes on the property. As a planned unit development, the city code does require additional plan submittal. This is just an application for annexation and rezone into the city. Once he has a civil engineering package, a design package, that will come back to the council for approval, he must also submit traffic studies, engineering studies, several other documentation as part of his development process to the city. That material will also have to be submitted to, due to the size of the development, will have to be submitted to the Regional Commission for review and approval as well. But being an annexation tonight, this is just the first hearing of this request for annexation and rezone. And if you were to if you were to hear it again, the final decision would be made on the current timeline on September 6th, if you were to hear it again and make a decision. So again, this is currently county agricultural land, and they would like to annex and rezone into the city as a planned unit development. And based on my knowledge and study of the area, this connects a piece of Greensboro property. There's currently a city island along VZ Road, and this annexation would basically kind of make one contiguous county district, or one county, the city limit. It would extend the city limit completely and kind of just connect those residences there along Breed-Gilsmith with Armour Circle in that area along MLK.
Okay. Council, this is the first reading of this annexation. I would say that we will wait and make a decision based on the second reading, hearing everything that Ms. Claire just said, because this young man has not yet talked with our engineer, correct?
No, I do not have a letter from the city engineer yet, and I do not have a final plan. I've just kind of some ideas of what is intended and the relative and the density. Luckily, with the planned unit development, there are some density requirements, and I believe he, in his plan, indicates that he would like to have 0.3 of an acre would be a typical sized parcel in this community. So that is the intention. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is here as well if you have any other further questions.
I spoke with Mr. Brett. Mr. Brett, if you would stand, please, or come to the podium. I apologize. I spoke with Mr. Henderson, and he clearly understands that we would like to talk to our city engineer before we go any further with this annexation. He also holds the property on number 10. Would you like to?
Yes, so Mr. Henderson is also the applicant for agenda item number 10. This is 1221 Armour Circle. It is 0.229 acres, currently zoned A2. This one is not, he's not requested a planned unit development designation. He has requested an R1 low density residential, which is what all the neighboring properties are in that area of Greensboro. So again, the Planning Commission heard this request on Thursday, August 11th, and recommended unanimous approval of this because it is currently a county island within the city, and this would only just ensure services are provided to this parcel. Yes, please.
We actually already received both city water and city sewer at that property, but it's a county property. It's a city neighborhood. That house and the house next door are county and are not being taxed, but do receive city services. So I'm just trying to annex it in so it's part of the city as well.
Council, I would recommend that we annex 1221 Armour Circle into the city of Greensboro and deem it as R1 low density. I'll entertain a motion and a second for approval.
Motion.
It's been second. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Mr. Henderson also owns the property number 9, correct?
No, he
doesn't.
No, sir.
Okay, all right.
And I will also say, so again, that last parcel, that was just the first hearing. It will have to be heard again as well for the final decision on the next city council meeting in September. Now, number 9, this, again, I've mentioned county islands within the city before. This is one of those county islands. And because Mr. Henderson's property is 120 acres and completely kind of circumvents parcel 070A, 000320, the city of Greensboro is the applicant in this. And I might need Adam's help explaining this, but this is a type of annexation called a 60% annexation. And when when over 60% or more of the property surrounding you is within the city, to be compliant with state law, other parcels must come in, so to ensure that they receive city services. Now this parcel, and again, I can show you just where this is and show you how. This is a landlocked parcel here, 3 acres. And the Planning Commission heard this request from the city. This parcel right here, and then this is the 120 acres right behind it.
Can I say that again, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, this is his big
Thank you.
parcel. This is the parcel for discussion right now. The city is the applicant for. And the property owners of this parcel did attend the Planning Commission meeting on Thursday. They had no questions, no comments. They did not speak out against this annexation, and the commission recommended unanimous approval for this annexation into the city. Are there any questions?
I don't have any questions. Councilman Moore, do you have any questions?
No questions.
City Manager, do you have any?
No, sir.
City Councilman Miller, do you have any?
No, sir, ma'am.
Councilwoman Rivers?
No.
Councilman Neal?
No, sir.
Now, how many acres is this?
So this one that you're looking at here for number 8 is approximately 3 acres.
3 acre.
Yes, sir.
Oh, 9. 9.
Oh, I'm sorry, number
It's number
9
9.
is 3 acres.
3 acres, okay.
Thank you. Number 8 is 9 acres.
3 acres. 9.
And there's no plans for this property?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay.
No, it is currently a vacant timbered lot.
Okay. Council, you've heard the request coming from Ms. Claire on this annexation of parcel 070A0000320 into the city limits of Greensboro located on Beasley Road, and rezoning from A2 agriculture residential to R1 low density residential. I entertain a motion and a second to approve or deny number 9, or to wait for this annexation because this is the first reading.
Mr. Mayor, you can take a vote on the first reading.
Read it.
That's fine.
Thank you, Ms. Claire. We'll hold off
I motion to approve.
to approve.
Second.
It's been motion to approve, been second. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. All right, unanimous decision. Thank you so much. Number,
Mr. Mayor, on number 11, did the council pass that as a first reading, or did the council want to table?
pass it as a first reading.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Number 8 on the agenda, Ms. Claire, are you standing for that one as well?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay.
This is a second reading of an annexation of a 9-acre parcel south of I-20. This is between two city properties, and this again would just kind of fill in a gap in our zoning map. The applicant is requesting zoning from, it is currently a commercial property in the city, and he's requesting B2 commercial zoning. It's currently commercial in the county. He's requesting the same zoning designation in the city. I'm recommending a B2 general commercial highway-oriented district, which is the same as all properties south of I-20 along Highway 44. The applicant has no intention for development at this time. No plans have been shared. I believe he, due to kind of mounting development around him, offered to apply for annexation of this parcel. And again, this is the second reading. The first reading was held August 1st, 2022. Or let's see, I'm sorry, July 18th was the first reading.
And this was the 9 acres off Highway 44?
Yes. And I've got a map.
I remember. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Council, I recommend that we approve this parcel to be annexed into the city, 05200000200, located on Lake Oconee Parkway, Highway 44, into the city limits of Greensboro. I entertain a motion and a second to approve.
Motion to approve.
It's been second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Unanimous decision.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ms. Claire.
Thank you all.
Next on our agenda, we'll be at number 7, Ms. Katrina Breeding.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, how are you?
It's good to be here. I've been here before. And I want to speak against the building of 180 to 160 homes in the area that was referenced. What this is, gentlemen and ladies, is gentrification. Look it up. That's all it is. The homes are supposed to be built for middle-class people. I looked up middle class, and according to Google, it's for people who make between $43 and $120 some odd thousand dollars a year, and they're going to be 200,000 plus cost
Mike.
of homes. Now, people say I'm always race baiting, but I'm just telling you the facts as I see them, and if you investigate, you will see for yourself. This is a black community. I live closer to the area where they're taking the 100 acres now, but I grew up in Canaan, and I love Canaan. My mama and I had planned to move in the house that I grew up before COVID. That's how much I care for Canaan. And I know people in Canaan. They know me. They look like me. Anybody's welcome to come to Canaan, but it just so happens they look like me. That's just how it is. And the only place that I know, and they're not going to stop on that hill. You live in the area not far from where I grew up, and so do you, Mr. Miller. They're not going to stop on that hill. I can promise you that. And what's going to happen is, and the only area that I know that has benefited from gentrification is in Harlem, New York, and those Negroes had money. Go to Gwinnett County. Go to DeKalb County. Go to downtown DeKalb County. That area used to be a certain way. Gentrification, those people had to move out because they can't afford the taxes. And we know what taxes are like. Now, on the application, and please look at the application, it says between 180 and 160 houses. You're going to have at least 2 people, right? A husband and a wife, a boyfriend and girl. What's 2 times 180? 360. They're going to have at least 2 kids, so add, is it 320 or 360? I'm going to take the low end. Let's say they only build 60 houses. 320. Then another 320 with 2 kids. That's 640. Now, how many of you won your election by 320 votes? Who are they going to bring in to run the city of Greensboro? In the application, he said, or it was stated, I don't know, and I don't have anything against it, because you know, sometimes people claim they claim what you do. They use what you want to accomplish what they want. So I don't have anything against you or Mr. Blackley, except for they don't know nothing about no claim. Neither one of them, and nor does the attorney, which is fine. I'm not race baiting, I'm just saying what the facts are. And I'm going to move on from that to go because I know it's probably a done deal. People see it as progress. I know how people, you know, they see the houses going up, and opportunity to buy. A couple of y'all may buy a house together or individually. But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen because I've seen it too many places. They will not be able to stop whoever wants to buy those houses. The investors are going to buy those houses, and they're going to become rental houses. I've seen it all over. Greensboro will be no different. But I want to appeal to something that may appeal to you, and that is whether the city of Greensboro can actually finance the infrastructure for this endeavor. Now, we all know what the infrastructure is like in Canaan. You could pass until y'all came on, and I don't know why it stopped, but I'm still looking. Every other week, somebody was digging a hole in the middle of the street, fixing pipes, and then the next thing you know, 3 weeks later, they digging in the same place, fixing pipes. You just can't afford it. You've already, what I understand, I don't know, but I've been told, you know, people always calling and telling me stuff. I can't keep up with everything. But I understand you've already committed to running the line out at the new school. I want you to look, you all are familiar with your budget. Do you all have copies of the 2019 budget? If not, I have something.
Not on hand. We don't have a copy of those on hand.
I don't have the entire one. I just picked out the part that I think applies to, this is the 2019 budget of the city of Greensboro. And there hasn't been a 2020 budget or a 2021 budget. But if you look at that budget, you'll see the accountant says things like you got one person who's handling the account. At one point, he even talks about you got to be careful. I don't want to paraphrase it. I should have underlined it because it opens itself up to fraud and misspending of money. There's three. Thank God for Novellas. I think you work for Novellas. Is that true? Somebody used to work for Novellas. If it wasn't for Novellas and that other one, we would be bankrupt, which may be the aim. It may be the aim. And we know who's going to take over if the city is bankrupt. There's a $360-something thousand discrepancy in the 2019 budget. Well, do y'all know what kind of money you got? And that's with water and sewer. Are you going to be able to finance this? Now, what about 2020? That's 2019. What about 2020? What about 2021, 2022? And I'll tell you, and I'm sure your attorney has told you, when you become an official, you take an oath, and you have a responsibility to keep up with the money of the people. I'm going to be quiet now because I get excited about this stuff. There are other people who are going to talk, and I'll pick up next week the more specific information. But I would just say, I'll give you, use your own due diligence. Don't just take the recommendation of somebody because they may have a degree in something and you don't. Your mind is as good as anybody can do. It's as good as the young lady who makes the recommendation. She has 10 years experience and it doesn't take a rocket science to figure this stuff out. Read the report. There are so many variables. There are very few consistencies. Think about it. And remember, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say you may be next, but I'm dead told don't do that. I think it's against the law to do it in closing with the jury, so I won't do it now. But use your own due diligence. Do your own investigation. Look at the area. Talk to the people that live in the area. We're the ones that voted for you. There were more people that voted in Canaan than any other place, so I've been told. Don't know that for certain. I don't pass on what I've been told. But please do your due diligence and study this. You don't have to make a decision tonight. And they say, this is something else that's tricky. They say, well, we don't have a drawing. How are you going to propose 160 houses and don't have an idea of a drawing or something? Does that make sense that you do? They have an idea of what they want out there. Exercise your due diligence. Check other places that are similar and see how they ended up. I believe the gentleman said that he built something in North Carolina. Right? Yeah, you have something. You all, if y'all can spend some money, send two of y'all out to Raleigh, North Carolina, and look at them and check them out. I mean, there's money in the budget for that, or make money. Just be responsible so that if this happens, 15, 20, 30 years from now, you will be proud of the decision that you made and not just follow recommendations. That's why we put you in here, y'all. That's why we put you in. Okay? I'm back.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Breeden. Next on our agenda is number 6, road closure request for cruise in to be held on September 17, 2022.
Don't
Is
see
Kendrick here?
Kendrick here, but the cruise-in closes early, like 6 a.m. until probably 4 p.m. from Main and Broad to Green Street.
Okay. Council, you've heard the request on behalf of the city manager filling in for Ms. Kendrick. I entertain a motion and a second to approve the road closure request on September 17, 2022.
Motion to approve?
It's been seconded. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Brings us to number 5 on the agenda. Ms. Nicole.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Get this thing off. Sorry, I have all my glasses and mask. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. I have 3 requests for alcohol permits. They're day alcohol permits to sell beer and wine for our events at Festival Hall. So the first one would be for September 16th. It's the Opus show. Broadway Sings for Opus. And all of the money would go to Festival Hall, all the proceeds. So it's a good way for us to pick up a little extra income and provide a beverage for people when they're coming to see a show. So I have 3 separate ones. That's the first one. The second one is Tuesday, September 20th. The Greene County Chamber of Commerce is having their annual dinner. So we would provide beer and wine for the participants. And then the third one is our Jazz Legacy Project, Billy Strayhorn concert on October 6th. And again, all of these are proceeds all go to Festival Hall.
Council, you heard the request coming from Ms. Nicole requesting special events beer and wine permits for September 16th, 2022, September the 20th, 2022, and Thursday, October the 6th, 2022. I entertain a motion to approve the sale of beer and wine.
Motion to approve?
Second.
It's been second. All those, is there any further discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Unanimous decision. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Nicole.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is number 4. Ms. Brianna Evans, is she here? It's the request for street closure request for the homecoming parade to be held Thursday, October 6, 2022. Council, I think we should grant this request for street closure. So I'll accept the motion to request the approval of the homecoming parade and the street closure.
Motion to approve?
Second.
It's been second. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Brings us down to number 14 on the agenda. Any unfinished business? At this moment, I don't have any. Councilman Moore, do you have any?
One thing, Mr. Mayor, Rescue Act money. My understanding is that we received that a month ago, July 15th. So when are we going to get together as a governing body to discuss how we're going to use those, allocate those funds?
If you remember, I think we came to an agreement that we was going to use the $500,000 that came in for the settlement fund. Is that correct?
It was discussed. What we talked about was there's enough money to do the settlement fund and the animal shelter from the ARPA funds, and that's my suggestion, what we do with it.
Yeah, we discussed it, but we didn't come to an agreement that was what we were going to do with the second wave of funding. Not that I'm against that, but we didn't discuss that. We didn't close that.
That's fine. We can discuss that at the next meeting, or we can come in. We can do it tonight if you want to. We can do it now if you would like to discuss that. I recommend that we spend it on the settlement fund and the building of the animal shelter. Do we have any numbers on that?
Yes, sir. The animal shelter came in at $475,000.
And the settlement fund came in at?
It has not come in yet. I've got another set of fresh eyes looking at it. I don't know what it's going to come in, but it's going to be something close. Be between 3 and 5.
3 and 5.
So we're going to have the funding to cover both?
Yes.
It's my question.
Yes, sir.
What was your question, Councilman?
we're gonna have the funding to cover both the dog pound and the settlement pond.
Yes.
Any further discussion on that? Any further discussion?
Go ahead.
Right now, we've been looking, there's a couple of parcels, vacant parcels that are just past the gate going into the wastewater treatment plant. We have enough infrastructure in there, water and sewer, of course, and there's enough level land above floodplain to build it right there.
So that's been signed off by the engineering as well?
You mean as far as capacity?
No. It's for structural integrity.
Oh, the company that supplies the materials, they have their engineer stamp the building. So until we order it, we won't have one. But we will require one as it's being constructed.
It's just me bringing it up, Mr. Mayor, was to make sure that we didn't lose sight of that. So that's going to be your call if you want to carry that tonight. You want to table it. But I agree with the settlement pond. That's something that's definitely needed in the community. It's long overdue. And if we can use those fundings for that, I'm fine with that. The other question with that, did we apply for a federal grant for the built press for the settlement pond?
Yes.
It was denied.
It was denied?
Yeah. Any further questions? Any further questions? I would say that we would, I don't want to move forward with that. Let's go into further discussion. So I entertain a motion to table that issue until further notice.
Mr. Mayor, you wouldn't need to take action at all. I think your city manager could get the information together, and then y'all could take a vote in the future once you have bids and packages together. So
great.
That's all I have on unfinished business.
Any unfinished business for you, city manager?
No, sir.
City attorney?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Miller? Unfinished business?
You can go up on the unfinished or new business. I take it up on the unfinished business. I had I had several people. One in particular come by my resident last week, and I had several calls. I even had calls from the former mayor and some people that didn't get the utility bill in time. As a matter of fact, I didn't get mine, so I came up Friday morning early to pay mine so I wouldn't have to pay no late fee. Can you kind of tell us what might have happened with that this month, Mr. Manager?
Not sure. We're still investigating it, but I've received complaints as well.
Okay.
We've had several at City Hall this week, well, last week, and even continue with this week. I've investigated just a little bit, and I didn't see any postage stamp on those envelopes, so I'm not sure what happened. So we'll contact the right people to make sure that we get an answer to those questions. Also, you can make your citizens aware that they can actually go online to pay their utility bills. If they're, for any reason, if they don't receive it in the mail when they're supposed to receive it, they can always go online and check it and pay online. There's a spot there where you can do online payment.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Any unfinished business for you, Councilwoman River? Councilman. I don't have any new business at this time. Councilman Moore, do you have any new business?
Nothing but new business.
City Manager, do you have any new business?
No, sir.
Councilman Miller, do you have any new business?
No, Mayor.
Councilwoman Rivers?
No.
Councilman Neal?
No, sir.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Attorney, I'm sorry.
No, Mr. Mayor, don't stop on my court.
Public comments. Any public comments?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, city manager,
Good evening.
attorney, and everyone else. My name is Shondell Ratcliffe, and I'm here just to speak a little bit on behalf of the proposal of annexation of parcel, let's see, 0880000, ending in 10. And just before I get started, a point of clarification for the attorney. I think you asked our mayor if number 11 was accepted as a first reading, and I believe that the council tabled it and said they were going to come back. So I think when you asked him in the midst, he agreed that it was read as a first reading, but I don't believe so. Can we clarify that, Mayor, before you leave? So on number 11, I believe that you guys motioned to table it and come back to that parcel, and then the attorney asked you for the notes. Are you taking notes, I think?
No, ma'am, I would check back with our clerk.
Oh, I'm sorry. He asked for clarification if you accepted number 11 as a first reading, and I don't think we did that. I think you motioned to table it. Is that correct? You guys accepted 1221. You voted to accept that and annex that in, and then I believe that on number 11, you guys didn't accept it as a first reading. They tabled it. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. Mr. Mayor, if you want to make clear, you can have a motion to remove that item from the table and vote it as a first reading, if that's what the council
That's not what they wanted to do. They didn't want it to
No,
be
that's
as
what
a
if they
first
want to
reading.
do. It wouldn't be during your comments. It could be after, but that's a procedural question for this body, how you want to resolve it. But let's let your comments go, and then we can discuss that.
Okay, so the first thing about my comments I want to say is I think it's important to us that the language is very tight. Right now it's ambiguous and loose at the most. And so I appreciate Claire for allowing us to have the report and also for sharing with us. However, if you look on page 4, the first thing is environment. It says there are no environmental factors subject to this property, and we all know Asian Circle floods, and we all know that that comes down, and we have a tremendous problem with that, and so that automatically in the language is concerning to me. It also says that the city services and utilities, it wouldn't stress, she says future development of the site may impact the city services, however, it's proposed, and so the thing is, we just had a home, Linda's home just burned on Armored Circle, yes, and according to the newspaper, there was like eight fire engines out there from Union Point, White Plains, and everything else, and so I'm just concerned about the city services and utilities. Not just I think we are all concerned about that. The next thing is the living and the locals and the lot size. So we want to make sure that the community is available. There's either a percentage, a contingency that local people are able to buy these homes, or there's a pathway to home ownership for the local people who live here. We want to make sure we can occupy these homes, our children, grandchildren, and everyone else, nieces and nephews. The last, and so that's very important when it comes to this parcel size for us. So the language in which they're proposing, and if you guys haven't read the staff report, it's interesting, because we're from here, right? So we know a little bit more. So the language is important, the lot sizes, and making sure that the locals have access to living there. There's a pathway to home ownership. We can own it. And then the last thing is the loot, right? Because they're going to develop in our neighborhood and everything. We want to participate as far as making sure that we are, we're not getting overtaxed, or we're not flooding more down in our circle. The home values, we don't want them to start developing all around these nice infrastructures, and then we become the hood, because we never have been. But if you have everywhere else with sidewalks and sewage, and we don't have it in our own community, even though we own our land, then it does have an adverse effect on the adjacent community. So I just wanted to bring those things to you guys' attention for food for thought. Thank you for your time. And I definitely want to clarify number 11, because that's the 100 parcels we're talking about. You guys did make the motion, and then he came back and asked a question in the middle of conversation, and you affirmed that you accepted it as the first reading, but you really didn't. You tabled it. And so that's why I came up and asked for a point of clarification when I got up here, because the lawyer asked you that after you guys had already taken the motions. He asked as a point of clarification in the midst of conversation. So I want to make sure that that's clear, and that's what you guys did do. You tabled that 100 parcels until later. So thank you for your time, and I know this is going to go well with all of us working together. We can't be afraid of growth and change. We just want to make sure that it's appropriate and it doesn't adversely affect us, and that we get to participate in the process.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Number 11, we did table that because we was waiting to hear from the engineers. as
Right.
that was stated.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so that would mean you would have 2 more readings in the
Absolutely.
future, so, yes, sir. And just make sure our notes have that correct. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Brings us down to number 17, the adjournment. Listen, I'm not being disrespectful, but I have another engagement that I have to be at. I think I made that announcement at the beginning of city council, so if you all will excuse me.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name is Bill Graydon. Can you hear me? How's that? I'm chair of the Pete Nance Boys and Girls Club, and I'm here to announce that we are going to have an open house celebration Saturday, August 27th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the club. We had a grand opening, but the pandemic kind of killed attendance. So we thought we'd throw it open to the public, and I'm here to invite each of you and the public to come to our new club and see what we do there. And I have some handouts if anybody's interested. Thank you.
Any more public comment?
Can y'all hear me? Is that better? Okay, good evening, City Council,
Good evening.
City personnel. This is in reference, I know you tabled the sign amendment that was tabled for further discussion, but I do have some issues with that. On 7/25, our city clerk, Robin Mapp, sent out an email to all qualified candidates for City Council with the guy, and included Brett Reed as well from Bureau Veritas, outlining the guidelines for our sign ordinance, which in the previous election back last year, we had the same issue with people putting signs out too early, trying to get some clarification on that. On 8/5, I went to the City Hall to try to get some clarification because I saw one of the candidates was freely putting signs and banners out around. Mr. Postel, Ms. Mapp, both were gone. I was given Brett Reed's name from Bureau Veritas. He could not answer my question. I hate that the mayor has left. On 8/6, I did reach out to Corey and spoke to him and was told that I could put out my signs, and that the topic of the ordinance would be brought up at this meeting. So I know that his candidate of choice was given permission to put signs out. No one else was notified that I'm aware of. I didn't receive an email, I didn't receive a phone call or any clarification on that. So the issue that I have is that we're knowingly allowing people to violate an ordinance. We're allowing people in office to give people permission to violate something that has not been changed, and the other candidates are not given the same information. So, thank you for your time.
Adam, you want to respond to that?
Just to make a point, Council, you require 2 readings for your ordinances to change. So obviously, it's not a table. It was a first reading. So your second opportunity is the only time you can adopt an ordinance. So, but it wasn't table. It was intentional.
So we can knowingly violate something, and it's okay. Or we make amendments.
I think I'll suggest this to you. There are issues with the ordinance, and my suggestion is the council is attempting to rectify that. Their code only allows them to make changes after 2 readings.
Okay.
And that's probably about as far as I can go.
So the 6-week rule doesn't matter. 6 weeks before the election, which we're looking at approximately Labor Day.
It probably would be better to have this conversation outside publicly, and I don't mind doing that, and anybody else wants to stay around too, I'll certainly discuss that. I just tell you that the way this body makes changes to their ordinances has to be over a 2-meeting period. So.
And I understand that. My concern is you tell certain candidates, yes, it's okay to go do this. The mayor himself on a phone conversation told me, no, go ahead and put signs out. So if something as simple as this, how far does it go? I mean, we have ordinances. We're supposed to live by these ordinances. I could get fined for it. I could lose potentially the opportunity to be a city councilman, which if you read through in those ordinances, that is an option. So that's my concern. It needs to be standard for everyone, not just certain candidates. So, thank you.
Any more public comments?
My name is Christy Lister. I'm Jeff's wife, and he's going to be really mad at me for talking right now, but I feel like has a disadvantage now because it looks as if he's not concerned about running and being an active person trying to run because he's not putting his signs up because he wants to obey the ordinance. And if there has been no change, should the signs not be taken up until there is confirmation that this has been passed? Because is that not appropriate until it's passed? Because the ordinance is being violated.
Once again, this body will have to address ordinance changes 2 times at a time.
I understand that when it's changed,
Madam,
who enforces the ordinances now until there's change?
City council enforces. They have to use municipal court and that process. With respect to how they decide to carry out their ordinances or not do them, I would agree that you need to have equal enforcement, or else the judge isn't going to enforce those. With respect to the specifics, I don't mind talking to anybody who wants to after the meeting. But I will generally agree with the concept that cities that don't enforce their ordinances equally will not have the municipal judge or the judiciary follow through on ensuring people follow them. So, but that's really all at this point, I would say. And once again, I will invite anybody that wants to talk afterwards, please do so.
The other concern with the bills coming out, for people who try to budget, getting a bill, on a Thursday when it's due on a Monday, makes it very difficult for them to budget. A lot of people don't go online to pay their bill and have no access to online services, and that is a huge concern, and I appreciate you bringing that up and somebody looking into that. Thank you.
Okay. Any more public comments? Okay, come on.
Hi, Council. My name is Angela Ross, and I'm also one that's running for City Council. And my question was the same, and I hear the city attorney saying we can talk about this later. But when I saw signs go out, I called the city every day. I talked to Robin Mapp. I talked to whoever would listen to me, because we all received the same email, and it was highlighted that the code was enforced. But then when signs started going out, I called back, and I said, well, my email said, and the same one that everyone else got, said, highlighted that the code was enforced. But then I said, well, let me just, a couple weeks went by, I saw signs still going up. And so I called Robin Mapp, and I asked her, I said, what is the answer to the question that I had? Can I put my signs out or can't I put my signs out? And she said clearly that the city manager and the city attorney had not made a definite decision. And I said, okay. And then I was also told, as long as it's on personal property, I couldn't do the right of way. I had to put it on someone's personal property. So it's just like, just say my family has my signs, or your family could have your signs. But it was disheartening because, again, like Ms. Lister, I was trying to do the right thing. But when I was opposed with it, things kept coming. And then, like I said, you run up to where, who are you? My name is Angela Ross, born and raised in Greensboro, Georgia. Haven't left a day of my life other than go to Athens or something, stay a couple years and come back. But my thing is, I felt like if you wanted to run, or if anybody wants to run, if you have the $144 that it takes to qualify, then run. Don't dishearten or speak out a term on someone else who has lived in this community for 54 years and wants change. We need to see growth. I need to see some growth. I have grandchildren now that are saying, Grandmama, there's nothing to do in Greensboro. So that's why I'm here, because not only did I live it, now my grandchildren are coming behind me and they're living it. So we just want to say, let it be fair to everybody. If I can put it on personal property, he can put it on personal property. I mean, just be fair across the board. I'm all about equality. If we're going to do it for one, we do it for all. And if they have to come up, I would take mine up. But my thing was, I called because it wasn't right. And I asked the questions. And when I couldn't get a definite answer, then I was told, put it on personal property. That's what I did. It's not on the highways. If you don't live in the black community, you probably won't see my sign. But it's out there. So my thing is, let's just all get it together. And instead of going behind closed doors with this, let's put it on personal property. We can't put it on the highways and stuff. We got to wait the 6 weeks. But in his yard, his mom's yard, sister, anybody's yard, you can put it in their yard. You just can't put it on the highways. And so we just need to make clarification with that because, like I said, I've been out there campaigning my butt off. And people have heard me, and they allowed me to put them in their yards. But I can't go out on the highway and put them on 278 and all that, but I am doing what I was told when I did call the city. So I just wanted to say that to you. Put it on personal property. Okay.
Adam, is it 6 weeks back from early voting or the?
Your current ordinances only allow 6 weeks prior to the date of the election.
November.
And it doesn't take into account early voting. Your ordinances were drafted in 2003. So I don't believe they have the flexibility.
Yeah, it need to be updated. Okay.
Hey, Council. Stephen Brown, failed candidate last year for City Council. And I want to say, I got involved in the sign issue last year, and I was told by the city that it was the reason signs were going up too early after I read the sign ordinance was the early voting issue. So obviously I was steered wrong as well last year, and it wouldn't have made a difference probably in the number of votes I received or didn't, but I would implore the city to get its act together and give us all the correct answers instead of just making up something as we go along. I would really plead with the city to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, we got a lot of things outdated.
Can I say something, Mr. Neal? That kind of alarmed me. That kind of alarmed me when I heard what was going on, and I knew it was 6 weeks prior to the election. And I'm gonna ask Mr. Manager and our city attorney, let's correct that tonight. We could correct that tonight. Let's go with what our ordinance said. If we have to change it, let's do it right in the near future. But let's just ask all candidates to just pull their signs up and put them back out at the appropriate time. I think that'll ease a lot of tension. If our community is, we got to get together. We got to become united as one, whether we agree or not. But some things we just can't let us be called out, because I'm an elected official. I was elected by the majority of the peoples. But you are correct. You all are correct. Both candidates are correct. We want everybody to be treated fairly. Win or lose, we want everybody to be treated fairly. When you feel like you lose fairly, you're okay. But when you don't, it kind of be an animosity and stuff. You think somebody got an upper hand. I'll be the first one to tell anybody. I just want it to be done right. Treat everybody right. Treat everybody fairly. And if that's what we need to do tonight, Mr. Manager and Mr. Attorney, until we go back and change our ordinance, let's do that. I hope you agree with that, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Any more public comments?
I'm not going to try to go back and forth. I'm John Taylor Smith, of course, I'm running for City Council. If you look at the information that you got, it's for a special election, and this is a special election. The information that you got is for primary, so it's out of date. A
a lot of the information is going out, and not try to put the city manager on blast, but I have talked to the city manager, and we had the conversation before I personally put my signs out. I have talked to the attorney before I put my signs out. So I didn't put my signs out just because I wanted to put my signs out and not do right. Yes, I did get the email that all the candidates got. But at the same time, when I reached out to the city manager with the information that he sent, what Robbie sent, and the conversation that we had, we talked twice about it. So that's the reason why the signs is out. And if you look at the information, you got certain people saying that, you know, the mayor give people this direction and this and that. But then you had 2 councilmen that called in about my sign, and their information went right. So that shows that.
Can you name those 2 councilmen?
I'm not going back.
Okay, well, don't be looking at me like I ain't called nobody. Because I'm man enough, if I called something I don't know you, I would tell you that. But don't look at me and say we had 2 councilmen call in. It ain't but 3 of us ran the table, 4 of us ran the table. I'm just telling you that.
As a council person that represents the city of Greensboro and as a citizen, you're that's out of order. So that shows that.
You going on what you heard.
Mr. Attorney, as I stated, I talked to the city manager that's still present twice before I made the decision. So whatever decisions y'all make is cool. But if you look at it, it's unconstitutional for the rules and the laws that you got going on right now. If you actually look at it. Everything for the information, the headline of the email, I don't know that they sent it to y'all or not, but it says private. And if you look at the situation that happened with Mr. Rowland, this is required for the city to do a special election. So all those rules and stuff that you got really actually don't apply. From speaking to my attorney, speaking to the city manager who y'all represent as y'all city manager. So if any information incorrect that we getting out, then y'all need to give it out to the city manager and talk to him about it. Thank you.
Let me respond. Mr. Bannon, I didn't ask you one question. I just asked you one question. Did you give him false information? That's all I need to know. Did you give him false information? Because it's like you told him one thing.
Told everybody else something else. Yes or no? That's all it is. Yes or no?
No. What happened is,
Speaking to the mic, Larry, please.
what happened is we stepped into a situation that was probably unconstitutional. And that's why we had this first reading today. Am I right?
Just to address everybody, I will reiterate this once again, council, and I apologize to members of council too. I don't want to encourage public comment to be a forum to discuss back and forth. Right. The reality is public comment is supposed to be comments from the public, and my attempt is to try to make use of our time. Your ordinances, once again, are almost 20 years old. There have been changes in both Georgia state and federal law regarding interpretation of the regulation of sign ordinances. The proposed changes you have before you will address those inadequacies. Prior to that, I will suggest that the laws are the laws, they need to be enforced, but I will also suggest to you that it is not always that clean if there are blatant constitutional violations at play. The hope here and what this council is doing tonight is fixing those problems. That is, you are on the path to do that. Prior to that, I will suggest to you that it might be a little bit sticky. My suggestion would be you allow your city manager to make that decision. However, it is not as easy as black and white. The hope here is that you're fixing this problem by doing what you're doing now.
So, Mr. Attorney, the question that I have, we have 4 individuals seeking that last seat. 2 of those individuals have signs out. Are you saying right now that the other 2 candidates can go ahead and place their signs out?
I am not a judge yet, nor do I plan on anytime soon. I do not have the authority to declare a statute unconstitutional. I have no legal ability to render that decision. But I would suggest to you that the current language of your ordinance would be difficult to uphold constitutionally. I don't want to make a proclamation right now. I'm not sure. There are a lot of factors and facts that I'm not aware of that I'd need to talk to determine what the best way to move forward would be. And it would be really unwise for me to tell you right now, do this or don't do that. What I would suggest to you is that our current ordinances make enforcement difficult.
I understand, because I approached your law firm last summer about this very topic, a year ago, and again this year, because I saw the writing on the wall that this was going to happen. Different rule for different folks. So I know you're not a judge, and we typically don't comment in public comments, but there are some variables at play here that need to be addressed. Because if we're not going to govern what we have written, why are we here?
And I would agree with that, Councilman. If it's on the books, that's the way it needs to be followed.
And on the books, say September the 5th. That's all I have, Mr. Neal.
All right. Any more public comments? Anybody? That brings us down to number 17, adjournment. I ask Councilwoman Rivers to pray us out. Motion to go ahead, to adjourn. Go ahead. Okay. On with it. Amen. Y'all have a good evening.